basically they put you on a conveyor belt and you have little control over what's happening to you. Because every time you turn around, a doctor or someone is telling you, no, you have to do this, you have to do that. And this is what happens to people. They become victims of the medical system. The first meal they served me in the hospital after cutting out a third of my large intestines was a sloppy Joe.
Hello everybody, this is Paul Neeson with the Raw Life Health Show. And one of the things I take serious around here is disease, because disease is a serious thing. But really, disease just means discomfort. It's discomfort of the body. It's our body's way of telling us something is wrong. And if we don't do something in the earliest stages of disease or discomfort, it's going to keep coming back worse and worse and worse until it's going to hurt us so much, and then we have to do something. And very often when people experience the latest stages of discomfort or disease, they go to their doctor. And their doctor spends years being trained on treating people emotionally, how to deal with their discomfort, not really being treated in how to prevent or overcome what's causing their issue. And people are just going and listening to the doctors, and what the doctors are doing are not working. Well, there are people out there that study themselves about discomfort and disease, understand it, and when they get a later stages of disease, whether they knew why or not, after doing the research, they make a wise decision to avoid a doctor. And I have a fellow on today, the show. He had cancer, stage 3 cancer, and he decided to educate himself and not to take the drugs and the chemotherapy that the doctors wanted to give him. And he has a powerful story. And we're going to be focusing this week on many different aspects of his story, who he is, and this choice he's made. And it was cancer what he was dealing with, but there's many different diseases and doctors that deal with those diseases in the way doctors are trained to deal with them. So this week on the show, I'm going to be talking about this fellow, and we're going to be talking about disease in general. And I definitely want people to watch what he has to say and get to his website. Hello everybody, this is Paul Neeson with the Raw Life Health Show. Today we have a wonderful guest. His name is Chris Wark. Chris, say hello to the Raw Life audience.
What's up? Hi, everyone.
Chris, it's so great to have you here on the show, and you have an amazing testimonial. But before we get into that, give everybody a little bit of your background, and then we'll get into your amazing story.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me again. So when I was 26 years old, I was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. And I had surgery, but I refused chemotherapy. And the reason I refused chemotherapy was because I didn't like the idea of poisoning my way back to health. It didn't make sense to me. And so what I did instead was I adopted a radical change of diet and lifestyle. And I just completely changed my life because I realized that everything I had been doing up to that point had been contributing to the reason I got cancer. And of course, we'll get into that in the interview here. But that was in 2004. I was diagnosed in late 2003, radically changed my life in 2004. And here we are, almost 10 years later, cancer-free. I'm in the best shape of my life. And I'm a health coach, and I kind of have a mission to educate people and empower them with knowledge that they can use to heal their own problems.
Sure. Now, how was your diet and health prior to getting this diagnosis?
It was the typical standard American diet. I was eating tons of processed food, fast food, junk food, lots of animal products, and was under a lot of stress. I was working, 12 hours a day, and just was not taking care of myself. I mean, it wasn't exercising. Pretty much everything you can do wrong to promote cancer I was doing, except for taking prescription drugs.
Now, did you start doing your research about the chemotherapy and stuff after the surgery, or was it before the surgery you started finding out about diet and lifestyle?
So what happened was I was, I'd been having abdominal pain. And, I instinctively believe that the body is designed to heal itself. So I wasn't really worried about it, and I kind of ignored it for the better part of a year. And I thought, oh, maybe I've got an ulcer. I don't know what this is. I don't have time to deal with it. I'm sure it'll resolve on its own. But it didn't get better. It got worse. And by the end of, the fall of 2003, the pain was really, really bad. and I was misdiagnosed as having an ulcer, and then eventually getting passed around from a few doctors, ended up getting a colonoscopy, and that's when they found a golf ball-sized tumor in my large intestine. So they biopsied the tumor. They called me and they told me I had colon cancer, which was just like, I was 26. So, I mean, it was a complete mind-blowing, diagnosis. I was, healthy, quote unquote, healthy, successful, young 26-year-old entrepreneur. And now I'm this pathetic, 26-year-old cancer patient with a freaky, old people cancer, really. And so, the way the medical industry works is they rush you into surgery. As soon as you get a cancer diagnosis, whether it's colon cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer, whatever, they want to get you in surgery before you have time to even think. And so they had booked me for surgery. They were trying to get me in surgery within a week. And I asked for, through a series of serendipitous events, and I ended up getting a little bit more time. And then I asked for the surgery to be delayed until after Christmas. I was diagnosed in mid-December. So I had surgery 2 weeks later. When I was in the hospital, there were a few things that happened that were, again, serendipitous, red flags that really started me thinking about the whole cancer treatment industry. And this is my long way of answering your question. So they cut out a third of my large intestine. They took out this tumor. They saw that the cancer had spread, took out some lymph nodes that were obviously cancerous, and some other ones as well. And they said, look, you're stage 3. And the next step is going to be 9 to 12 months of chemotherapy. So at that point, I didn't know anyone that had had cancer, no family, no friends, no one I knew had ever had cancer. So I had no personal experience with cancer at all. And I was very ignorant of the process. I'd never had major surgery. I'd never even really been to a hospital for anything. And so I didn't know. I mean, it was, basically they put you on a conveyor belt and you have little control over what's happening to you. Because every time you turn around, a doctor or someone is telling you, no, you have to do this, you have to do that. And this is what happens to people. They become victims of the medical system. So I was right there on the conveyor belt, ticking along in the hospital after surgery. And the first thing that happened that was really stuck out in my mind that I thought, this is weird, was the first meal that they served me. And I've become famous for this story. But the first meal they served me in the hospital after cutting out a third of my large intestines was a sloppy Joe. Now, Paul, I know you probably had a sloppy Joe for breakfast, right?
I used to eat them a lot, but not anytime recently.
Yeah. So I think most people know what a sloppy Joe is. It's mystery meat and some kind of like sauce on a hamburger bun. So, I mean, they brought it out and I'm in a hospital bed. I've got stitches, a 7-inch incision in my stomach. And this is the first meal I get. And I just remember looking at it thinking, I don't understand. This is the best food they got?
I know a lady who actually had heart surgery, or she had a heart attack. I don't know if she had surgery. And she was in the hospital, and the first meal they brought her when I was visiting her in the hospital, the nurse came in and it was pork.
Yeah, right. I expected, I don't know what I expected. I thought maybe they would come in and say, hey, okay, we'd cut out your intestines. This is a very special diet, But no, it was like, here's the crappiest cafeteria food, we can throw together for you. So anyway, I ate a little bit of it, and I was starving and whatever. And the whole point at that moment was they wanted to make sure that I could have a bowel movement, because they'd cut my intestines out, stitched them back together. They wanted to make sure all my plumbing was working, so it was important that I eat. So anyway, I ate some of that, couldn't finish it. Then a couple days later, when I was checking out from the hospital, the surgeon came in, and I said, hey, is there anything I need to eat or avoid or, whatever? And because I was concerned about it. I mean, I didn't want to mess anything up. And he said, no, just don't lift anything heavier than a beer. So that was the red flag number 2. And I'm just, I was like, yeah, but that's not helpful, right? So the current medical system doesn't care what I'm eating at all. The surgeon doesn't care. The hospital doesn't care. They just apparently diet doesn't matter. So that was the takeaway from the hospital. Went home. I was on pain medication, trying to recover from surgery, laying on the couch, sleeping a lot, and in these periods of of lucidity and consciousness, I'm thinking about my life and what's going to happen next, and am I going to live or die, or what's going to happen to me? And I was thinking about chemotherapy and just the idea, like I said, of poisoning my way back to health. I knew it was poisonous. I knew that much. I knew that the few cancer patients I'd seen out in the world, which at that time, almost 9 years ago, I don't know. To me, it didn't seem like there were as many as there are now. And everyone I ever saw just looked terrible. They looked like zombies. They look like the Walking Dead. Their hair's gone, their eyes are sunken in, their skin is yellow, and they just look, I just thought, I had this image in my mind, and I was like, it doesn't make sense. I can't do that. I don't understand it. And so my wife and I had this conflict, instinctively, and my conscience, and my wife and I are Christians, and we prayed, and I was just said, I was like, God, if there's another way besides chemotherapy, just show me, because I didn't know what to do, and I was afraid, and I was conflicted, and I did not have a peace about the next step. And 2 days later, I got a book that was mailed to me from a man in Alaska who I've never met, and that book was called God's Way to Ultimate Health. And you ask God for some direction, and then you get a book called God's Way to Ultimate Health. I figured, okay, I guess maybe I should read this. And that book was written by a man named George Malcolmus, who had colon cancer in the 70s, and he refused chemotherapy and surgery, and he radically changed his diet, and his body healed. And when I read his story, I knew it was an answer to prayer. I knew it was exactly what I needed to do. And so that started me on a radical diet and lifestyle change that started with a raw vegan diet. So I converted from eating junk food and animals and, every kind of Wendy's cheeseburgers and Frosties and Big Gulps and whatever, to eating only raw fruits and vegetables, seeds and nuts, straight from the earth, organic, clean earth food. And that made a lot of sense to me, because I believe that the earth was created for us, and that everything we need comes from the earth. It doesn't need to be altered or prepackaged or changed in any way by man to help us. And so raw fruits and vegetables are, fruits and vegetables from the earth are here for us to eat. So sure. Anyway, I started juicing. I drank about 8 glasses of juice a day, about 64 ounces. It was carrot, beet, celery, whatever else I threw in there. Usually some ginger root, maybe some cucumber, just whatever I had handy. I ate giant bowls full of vegetables, giant salads for lunch and dinner every day, and full of what they've now discovered are the most powerful anti-cancer foods, and that's the cruciferous and allium family. So the cruciferous vegetables are broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, and cabbage. All that was in my salad. And the allium family is onions, garlic, leeks. All that was in my salad, except for the leeks. I didn't know about them at the time, but lots of onions and garlic. I also had mushrooms in there. Mushrooms are immune boosters. Just basic white button mushrooms are incredible for the immune system. So this is what I was eating twice a day, every day. And I started drinking fruit smoothies with berries and coconut and bananas. And of course, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, cranberries. These are all the most powerful anti-cancer fruits, are the berries. So I was getting like 15 or more servings of fruits and vegetables every day. And when you get 15 servings of fruits and vegetables every day, amazing things start happening in your body. And so what happened was my body healed. I got more energy. I got stronger. I got better. My blood work improved. And over time, I had a few scans over the years, and things just got better and better and better. And, I'm cancer-free today. I've been cancer-free for 9 years, and I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm the strongest I've ever been, and so I guess that's what led me to you. In
Sure.
fact, this is some fresh juice that I'm drinking right now. This is 3 apples and a lemon.
Wonderful. Great story, man. And now, a couple of questions. First of all, this fellow that mailed you the book, how did he find out about you?
Great. So the man that mailed me the book was a friend of my dad's who I've never met, but he was a business acquaintance of my dad's. And he had the, I don't know what the word, chutzpah, maybe, to mail me this book because it's a pretty controversial book. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So yeah, he heard, my dad told him I got cancer and he had read this book and he just sent it to me.
Great. It's a wonderful book, and there are many books out there that are just as powerful that many people in your situation, let alone read, they might even throw it away and just listen to the doctors. So it's great that you had the idea to open it up and read it and see that. Now, prior to all this happening, after you got diagnosed, before the surgery, did you look at your stomach and notice anything there that you just was there but you didn't notice before? You maybe just weren't paying attention? Like, did you feel anything or nothing?
No, there was nothing to be seen, and I couldn't really. The pain I was having was it was a dull aching in my stomach, and I couldn't pinpoint it. It was weird. It was like I couldn't just put my finger on it and say it hurts right there. You know what I mean? It was like deep in there, and it was a very dull, like I said, dull aching pain that I couldn't put my finger on it, and which was weird. And there would be an occasional sharp pain that I would get from time to time. And what I realize now is as food moved through my large intestine, it would aggravate this tumor, and that's when I would get the pain. So the pain would come and go throughout the day as food moved through. Every night I would go to bed hoping, maybe it'll be better tomorrow, and I'd wake up in the morning and I'd feel fine. But then sometime after lunch, after my breakfast and lunch started to move through, I'd get that pain again. So it was like Groundhog Day. Every day it was like hoping I was getting better, but then the pain would come back.
Sure. Now, did you actually see the tumor after the surgery? Did they show it to you?
No. Mm-mm.
No.
I
Okay.
saw it on a video screen when I was getting my colonoscopy.
I see.
Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life, brighten up your life.